is emotional intelligence. That's basically like where you're able to read thoughts in other people, right?
No, I think it's you have the people skills.
The people skills.
You don't have what they call the social skill.
That's how I think of it.
I love that. Hello everyone and welcome. This is part of our 9-part series on how to get in and get ahead in government. Basically developing some soft skills. So this week we're talking about emotional intelligence. I think emotional intelligence is really just understanding how to manage your emotions. Why is that such a good thing in order to advance in your career?
Well, it's not only managing your emotions, but it's also being keen and keyed into how other people are feeling.
Sure. So understanding the emotions all around you.
Yes.
Exactly.
Within, without, all around.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, how many times have you all been in a meeting with a boss that yells, or a person that's a little bit more gruff and they don't care, they're just going to get this done, and
expletive this and expletive that.
Exactly, dropping F-bombs all over the place. Yeah, I think a majority of us have had some experiences like that before. If you're able to manage and understand your emotions, and also to understand why people are having emotions around you and what they're experiencing, having a bit of empathy, that makes for, I think, a better leader or a person that gets stuff done, even if you're not in a leadership position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Karen, curiously, you've been able to do a lot of great stuff in your government career, but in terms of working with some people that have been really good, how well have you noticed some people managing their emotions?
I think for the most part, many people do. I think occasionally, especially during extremely stressful times, you'll see the dams kind of break a little bit. And it's interesting how, as I've moved up, kind of seeing behind the curtain a little bit and be like, oh, okay. It's kind of like, all right. But at the same time, it's kind of like, I don't want to say a safe space, but there are very stressful moments, and sometimes things like that happen. But oftentimes, if somebody kind of gets upset, there's usually an apology afterwards, or like, look, this is a tough time for everybody, but look, we've got to do this. And so I think it's just a way to manage, again, your emotions, recognizing them, because we all can be a powder keg sometimes, right? Or with the tea kettle, where it's like, ooh, if you don't address something, and then it just keeps festering, and
then it pops.
Yeah, or you're not sleeping, and
right.
Yeah.
Or perhaps if you're experiencing other external stressors, it could be stuff at home, it could be other things that people are dealing with. You don't have a light switch where you turn off your emotions coming in and going out of work. So it might be where something just kind of like pops. And it can happen in our own lives as well. Like you can be sitting there in a meeting and you just feel a certain way, and you could be like, why am I feeling this way? Mm-hmm. Why am I so upset about this?
But you recognize it.
That is actually absolutely the thing, being able to recognize that. And that's part of the strategies that we wanted to share with you in a little bit, and talking through emotional intelligence. So we have 3 or 4 different strategies that we think are going to be fantastic for you to help manage emotions.
Fantastic. All for only $19.95, folks.
But if you act now, we'll actually keep talking.
Right. If you act now by not stopping the video.
Right. Subscribe, give us a thumbs up, follow us on Patreon, follow us on Twitter. I don't know what.
Patreon? Or not?
No, we're not on Patreon. Although, maybe we should be.
So the first one, since we only have 9 minutes here, is notice your negative reactions.
Right. If you are doing eye rolls, if you're... Or perhaps if you have a higher heartbeat on something, if you feel like you're anxious to kind of say something, or you recognize the inflection in your tone, those are all things for you to keep an eye out on. Sometimes perhaps you're doing all of this stuff and not even really realizing it. So allow yourself the space to see if and when that actually is happening.
Right. I noticed in one of my first positions where it was more of a leadership role, or a very high-level role, I noticed, and I think I talked to you about this, I'd be in meetings and I'd realize that I was picking at my fingers like crazy And I was just like, God, why am I doing that? Because I was just getting so pent up with like being a little bit overwhelmed, but I didn't know how to release it. And I had to still look, poised and I know what I'm doing. And inside, I'm just like, oh my God.
But it's good that you noticed that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then I took kickboxing and it was all better.
Yeah, you're at least recognizing it and then releasing some of that later on. And that's a wonderful thing. Perhaps if you do have some built up aggression, well, how best can you manage that in the moment? And how can you handle...
Or anxiety, not just aggression.
All of it, exactly. However it manifests with you, what are some healthy ways to recognize it, manage it, and monitor it as you continue to make progress towards addressing some of it?
Right, and maybe even being open to, maybe you see it in somebody else too, and you want to mention that, which I've had some sad interactions where, some things were missed. And it's like, well, if only somebody had kind of spoken up, things would be different. But I think it's a matter of, in your gut that there's something different, and that's that emotional intelligence where you can tell something is going on.
Absolutely. So what's the second strategy?
So the second one is to pinpoint the positive feelings.
Yeah, that's almost like what we're going to talk about in tomorrow's show. But yeah, think about positive feelings overall. Like, what are the things that you notice that are resonating well enough with you? Karen, whenever we talk about anything HR, it seems like you get all excited. Well, I mean, that's your degree.
It is my degree.
Yeah.
I went into HR thinking that I could fix HR in government. Which I realized, I thought it was kind of interesting, and I had kind of like my aha moment where I may not have been able to fix HR, but I'm doing it in a way here with the Gov Geeks where I'm helping others navigate the HR process.
Absolutely.
I would think.
Which is a great thing.
But
yeah.
At least trying.
I mean, if you're at least helping a couple of people, then yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, that's a great thing. That's why we do what we do and why we're here, why we're coaching, why we provide these materials and information for you guys, definitely. Yep. Well, what's the third strategy?
Ask yourself open-ended questions.
Very good. Yes, allow yourself to explore some of the questions that you're experiencing, some of the emotions that you're experiencing. Why am I feeling this way? Why is this important to me? How can I use this as an opportunity for me to grow? What have I learned from this? Where can I go to learn more? How is it that person saying that? How is it that impacted me? Why am I feeling this way? And then really kind of explore them. Because sometimes I think if you ignore all of that, you're ignoring signs that your body is telling you and what you're experiencing. And that it doesn't really lead to good stuff. Mm-hmm. Address it, work on it, learn from it, allow yourself to grow. Otherwise, you kind of stagnate.
That's never good.
That's never a good thing. So far we talked about noticing any sort of negative reactions, finding some of the positive ones that are there as well, and then we're talking about open-ended areas as well. So really, what is the fourth strategy?
So the fourth one is where energy...
The force, I like that.
The force is strong in this one.
The force.
The force.
The force is with this question, with this... The force is with this one right here.
The force is strong with this one.
There we go. Where energy goes, attention flows.
It definitely does. Wherever you are focusing in on something, you have that energy that's there. That's where some of the focus is. And pay attention to that. If there's something that you're really excited about doing in your job and your work and everything, that's lovely. What is it that you're getting from that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also keep in mind that all energy or your energy is also contagious. Mm-hmm. And it impacts other people.
If you're in a bad mood, you can bring down the whole place. Well, those are just a couple of the strategies to go about managing your emotional intelligence. We really appreciate chatting with you guys. We'll be off next week for a vacation, which is lovely, but we'll be back the week after that. So until then, thank you so much for your time, your engagement, and of course, thank you for your service.
Thank you.